Huge thanks to Harry's for sponsoring this video. If you have hairs that sprout from your facial region like myself or my friend Mario here, then you need to check out Harry's. And if you haven't heard of Harry's before, they're an amazing German company that's been making razor blades for the past, 100 years or so, you know, they probably know what they're doing. But the coolest thing about them is how affordable their blades are. See, other blade companies charge more because they can, but not necessarily because they should. Harry's customers are charged the factory direct price. Nothing more, nothing less. But saving money doesn't matter if the shave is no good, right? So take it from me. I shaved using a Harry's razor and Harry's shaving cream, and look at this face. Baby smooth and with no razor burn whatsoever. If you sprout hair and you own $5, then you're in luck, because everything that I used to achieve these glorious cheeks, you can too, by clicking the link in the description below and receiving a trial set of your very own for $5. Seriously, what are you waiting for? Give Harry's a try and show the world just how smooth those cheeks can be. And now, on to the video. There are a lot of things in the lore of the Zelda franchise that are confusing. Are Link and Zelda related? How many other realms are there? What is the timeline? Of course, most of these questions can be answered by way of speculations and theories, both of which I happen to be a huge fan of, you might have noticed. Speaking of timelines though, when Tears of the Kingdom released a few months ago, we were greeted with several brand new confuzzling pieces of lore, one of which is the whole time travel loop thing that happens in an instant upon finishing the opening sequence, which has huge implications the more you think about it. So many implications, in fact, that it has a lot of Zelda fans wondering if it's even possible for the time travel in the game to mesh seamlessly with the rest of the franchise. With some fans even claiming that Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom should be heralded as a non-canon, separate continuity altogether. But bear with me, because it just so happens that between myself and my good buddy Lon Historian over on my Discord server, we think we've got this one all figured out and ready for an easy explanation that does fit within the already existing canonical Zelda timeline. Well, more or less. So sit back, relax, and prepare to be explained upon. Oh, and spoiler alert, obviously. So first things first, let's recap exactly what happens with the time loop in the game. When Link and Zelda confront Ganondorf at the very beginning of the game, three major things happen. 1. Ganondorf wakes up. 2. The Master Sword gets properly rocked by Gloom, and 3. Zelda gets sent back in time after picking up the Zonai Secret Stone that fell off of Ravu's hand. And we can see from the Light Dragon's teardrop memories, aka Zelda's teardrop memories, that she was in fact sent back to the era within which the Kingdom of Hyrule was founded. So, you know, saying it was a long time ago would be a massive understatement. As a reminder, Breath of the Wild tells us of the story of the calamity that took place over 10,000 years ago. But we know from in-game lore and the Creating a Champion timeline that the Kingdom of Hyrule is far older than just 10,000 years. The countless additional years beyond that are referred to only as the distant past, and there's currently no way of knowing for sure just how many years in total Hyrule has been a thing, which means there's no way of telling how many tens or even potentially hundreds of thousands of years it's been since Hyrule was founded, which according to the official Zelda timeline took place after the events of Skyward Sword but before the events of the Minish Cap. Meanwhile, in the future/present day time frame, Link is pulled upwards into the sky by Raru's hand so that he can fuse with the hand and awaken sometime later on the Great Sky Island, where his quest to figure out what the heck just happened and stop Ganondorf from doing bad stuff begins. While Zelda was back in the original Hyrule time frame though, several things happened. Raru and Sonia teach Zelda about her time plus light powers, Minoru teaches Zelda about combining ancient Zonai tech with futuristic Sheikah tech and also how to transform into a dragon, and Ganondorf threatens the world of Hyrule for the first time, kills Sonia, and steals her secret stone and transforms into the Demon King, and is subsequently sealed underneath Hyrule Castle by Raru. Zelda is also given the Master Sword from Link far in the future using her own recall ability that she somehow will gift to him but already gifted to him in the future. Time travel, am I right? Anyway, since the Master Sword was so bent out of shape due to the events we saw at the beginning of the game, which would be Ganondorf's resurrection in the present day, Zelda takes it upon herself to restore the blade to better status than it was before by becoming a dragon of pure light and absorbing the blade, flying high above the land of Hyrule for countless eras until finally Link is able to draw the blade from her head in the present day, which he then uses to defeat Ganondorf. Now right off the bat, we already have some pretty glaring problems. See, in the first place, the floating islands didn't rise into the sky until Zelda went back in time and raised them along alongside her fellow sages, right? This means that if it really is a closed time loop like the game is suggesting, and as a reminder, the game really is suggesting that it is a closed time loop, since Ganondorf already knows Zelda and Link's names upon his reawakening, meaning this encounter with Rauru already happened, and Rauru already told Ganondorf that Link and the Master Sword were coming for him, which is not something Rauru even knew about until Zelda's appearance in the past. So in a closed time loop, technically speaking, all of the past events should have already happened, and we should be able to see the effects of all of them in the present day, just like Impa's bracelet that Zelda gives her in the past in Skyward Sword, which is already present upon meeting her in the future for the first time. In the case of Tears of the Kingdom, the Sky Islands and the Light Dragon should always have been present in the sky. However, this is not what happens, as we know from the various citizens of Hyrule and also the entire game of Breath of the Wild, that those islands and even the Light Dragon herself really did just pop up out of nowhere upon the events of the start of the game, which are referred to as the upheaval. And what's even more intriguing is the sudden appearance of the Shrines of Light. We can see from the teardrop memories that the shrines were already built by the time Zelda arrived in the past. And if we become super lore geeks and study the translated early Hylian stone tablets that are also floating in the sky, we learn that Sonia and Rauru built those shrines in order to seal away the evil of the monsters that they drove out from the land in order to found Hyrule, which they did before Zelda arrived in the past. So these shrines were built regardless of anything Zelda or Ganondorf ever did. But you might be wondering then, where did the Shrines of Light go by the events of Breath of the Wild, and why are they randomly back in Tears of the Kingdom? One could argue that the re-emergence of gloom in Ganondorf's monsters awakened the shrines again, but not only is that an awfully convenient explanation, it also completely ignores the presence of malice, which is also a very evil substance, which also created Ganondorf's monsters, and also even similarly bathed the land in the light of the Blood Moon. Plus, the Light Shrines were all created before Ganondorf transformed into the Demon King and created gloom, so before gloom was even a thing, but yet they clearly only show up after the upheaval. There is also the problem of the light shrines that appear on the floating islands, which were raised into the sky following Sonia's death and Rauru's incapacitation. Although these shrines clearly function based on different rules, since they don't have corresponding light roots like all of the other shrines on the surface do, but that's another theory for another day. There is also the entire concept of gloom showing up after the events of Breath of the Wild that is another hard pill to swallow. So what gives? Are all of these problems inexplicable or the result of poor writing? Maybe, but listen, I wouldn't be making this video to just sit here and talk about all the stuff that doesn't make sense. That was the last video. No, I think there is one possible explanation that is, in my opinion, really the only thing that allows all of these moving and missing pieces to fit together so neatly like they do in Tears of the Kingdom. And it's also ridiculously simple. Almost too simple. But forewarning, it is just a theory, and just my own at that, so you are more than welcome to believe what you'd prefer if it doesn't click with you. But okay, here goes nothing. I think it's entirely possible and probable, given everything we see in Tears of the Kingdom, that the world of Hyrule that Rauru and Sonia are from is another reality entirely, and that the Demon King's gloom eventually grew so strong as he weakened the seal placed on him by Rauru that he eventually somehow merged his reality with the one we know of from Breath of the Wild. Think about it. Gloom mysteriously started appearing in the world. The Sky Islands popped into existence and are falling apart under the shift of realities. The Shrines of Light and various Zonai architecture also mysteriously appear all around Hyrule. There are 2 Temples of Time now, one of which legitimately used to be present where the Hylian Temple of Time is now. And of course it also explains the existence of another Ganondorf in addition to the one we know of that originated from Ocarina of Time. In a nutshell, it explains that feeling that we all have somewhere in our guts that the Zonai lore just kind of got slapped onto Hylian lore. Now, this isn't a perfect theory, since Zelda mentions that the caverns far underneath Hyrule Castle have been long kept a secret of the Hylian royal family, which heavily implies that they knew about Ganondorf being sealed down there for some time. But even that could be excused, since they never confirmed that Ganondorf himself is the secret that the royal family was hiding. But what do you think? Is the closed loop of Tears of the Kingdom easily explainable and everyone's just overthinking everything? Or is something else necessary to explain the state of the world in Tears of the Kingdom, such as an alternate reality merging into this one? You've got to admit, it would be a neat concept, since we're constantly fighting over the fact that multiple realities will split off of one game, such as the Fallen timeline, but in this case it would be the opposite, and multiple realities would merge to create one. Heck, there are even several people that believe that's why Breath of the Wild and subsequently Tears of the Kingdom seem like they have all of the timelines pouring into them. But that's enough rabbit holing. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And thank you so much for watching this shorter video of mine. If you enjoyed it or my efforts into making it, please consider leaving a like on the video, as it really helps spread it to other fans just like you and me that could have these same questions. There will be lots more to come, so please make sure you're subscribed if you haven't already to be here when that happens. Huge thanks as always to my band and crew who make my day every day, and that's all I've got for this one. So be sure to follow me on my socials, and I'll see you next time. This is Bandit, signing out. Peace!